Rise today, she's literally standing next to a woman from New Jersey who's our communications director and who handles Delaware and somehow manages to handle New Jersey and raise a family at the same time. She's amazing. But we're delighted that could have the two of you on the floor at the same time. This is a wonderful coincidence. But Mr. President, I rise today to highlight something that I believe unites all of us, and that's support for our local firefighters across the country. I don't care if you're in New Jersey or Delaware or Oregon or New Mexico. There's a great affection and appreciation for our firefighters. Our firefighters throughout America are everyday people who every day do extraordinary things with their lives. They put their lives on the line to protect us. They're willing to, and they have to lay down their lives to save ours and the lives of our families. For that, we owe it to them to make sure that they are fully equipped with the life-saving protection, with the equipment, the education and training they need to get their job done. And that's why I'm very proud to co-lead the Fire Grants and Safety Act with my colleague on the Congressional Fire Services Caucus. That would be with our colleagues, and one of them would be our chairman. That would be Gary Peters of Michigan, Susan Collins, a long time, Susan Collins of Maine, a long-time supporter of firefighters and leader in the Congressional Fire Caucus, and Lisa Murkowski, also a leader in the Congressional Fire Caucus from Alaska. And I was pleased that the Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, on which I'm privileged to serve, used to be chair, has passed this important bill out of committee just earlier this month, Mr. President. The Fire Grants and Safety Act authorizes critical federal programs that support local fire departments, namely among those FEMA's Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, also known as the SAFER, S-A-F-E-R, SAFER Grant Program, and the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. These programs are not just incidental, they are vital. They are critical. They're essential to local firefighting departments to help recruit staff, to purchase life-saving equipment like fire trucks and protective gear, to provide fire training and education to current firefighters and also to new firefighters, and improve medical services to our communities. In Delaware, our fire departments rely on these programs to protect our communities. In fact, in 2021, and I think in 2022, the SAFER program and the so-called AFG programs provided almost $3 million in funding to Delaware fire departments. That may not sound like a lot of money in New Jersey or California or some other places. $3 million is real money in a state the size of Delaware, and it's put to very good use every year. So, Mr. President, we know these threats from fire, whether they're in our homes, whether those threats are in our businesses, whether they're wildfires, we know they're not going away. We know they're not going away. In Alaska last year, 3 million acres burned in a wildfire. 3 million acres burned in one wildfire. That's nearly half of the acres burned in the entire United States of America. Just think of that, in one wildfire in Alaska. Just 3 weeks ago, I'm told high winds spread a fire in my own home state of Delaware that engulfed about a half dozen homes and left some 16 people homeless and caused over $1 million in damage. We got to ensure that our firefighters have what they need when they wake up each morning to bravely respond to the calls that come their way. Without action, authorization of both the SAFER and the AFG programs would expire later this year. And as I said at the beginning of my remarks, support for our local firefighters is an issue that brings us together. A lot of issues that divide us, as the presiding officer knows. There's some issues that unite us, and this is one of those issues. The Senate voted yesterday to begin consideration of the Fire Grants and Safety Act. That vote passed by 96-0. That doesn't happen every year, so the presiding officer knows, but let me repeat that, 96-0. And we're happy to see that kind of unanimity, and I think it bodes well for when we return after the recess of the next week or two to take up this legislation. I look forward to the Senate coming back in 2 weeks. Look forward to finishing the job that we've begun And we look forward to passing, again, this important legislation. Now, I strongly encourage our friends over in the House of Representatives to do their part and to send the Fire Grants and Safety Act to the President's desk. We owe that to our first responders, and that, Mr. President, I thank you for this chance to speak on the floor today, and wish you and your family a safe recess, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. And with that, I note the absence of a quorum.